Hello guys, once again welcome to Farming in Africa, and today we're going to be talking about 3 mistakes that farmers do in the dry season. And this is a topic that I think is a huge issue for farmers in the dry season across Africa, most especially in West Africa, where drought is very heavily, mostly from November all the way to March before you experience your first rain. Sometimes if you're lucky, your first rain might come at the end of February. But within this period, what do farmers do and what must they do? That's what we're talking about today. So stay tuned as we talk about this most crucial point for farmers. Welcome back guys, and I said today we're going to be talking about 3 most important things or mistakes that farmers do during the dry season. And in case you don't know the dry season, so mostly in Africa and West Africa we have 2 types of season. So we have the rainy season and we have the dry season. So we enjoy full rain during the rainy season, and in the dry season we go 3 maybe to 4 months depending on the dry season, the drought period, without rain. So that's what we're going to be talking about. But before that, I want to say a big thank you to all of you that have been subscribing and supporting this channel. But most importantly, if you haven't visited our agro store, we've opened agro store last year in Achimota, where we sell small machines like chaff cutters, balers, corn shellers, anything that you need to really take your farming to another level, efficiency, right? So visit us or contact us on the WhatsApp number and we'll give you the direction there. So as I said, today we're talking about the mistakes that farmers do during the dry season. And I think number 1 that I want to talk about is selling. At this moment, if you go to Bupe, Wanchi, Tamale, Bolga, all these places, what you see is a lot of farmers are flooding there, selling their cows, selling their goats, selling their sheep, right? And this is the time that they sell. I think it is very sad and a big mistake, right? Which is going to lead me to point number 2 and 3. But number 1, which is a big mistake that I think farmers do, because we sell our animal because they are skinny, they attract diseases very easily during the dry season, right? And therefore, after spending so much time and investment on your livestock, you end up selling them at this time without any plan. Meanwhile, you've been planning for festive season, you've been planning for, the right time, the right age to sell. But during this time, you are pushed to sell and therefore you sell, which makes it very, very difficult, right, for you to be able to increase your head or even be profitable. Which leads to the point number 2, mistake that people do, is lack of feed. And you guys might guess right, because number 2, if you don't have feed to feed your animals, then you have no choice than to make mistake number 1. And that is why it is my mistake number 1. And it's happening right now. When even I wanted to start my cattle farm, I went during the dry season, because this is not news. Everybody knows that in the dry season, people tend to sell. And because they make mistake number 2, right, without having feed. And if you don't feed the livestock well, if their nutritious value is down, if they are not getting food to eat, and you have handed stock and you can't feed them, what happens is you have to reduce it. So you're reducing it because you don't have access to food. They are getting skinny because they don't have access to food. They are also getting diseases easily because they don't have access to food. So all these 3 factors pushes you for you to what? Go in there. And food is not the only thing. We can talk about food and water. It's a combined thing, right? You're also having to walk miles and miles to look for green pasture plus water for your livestock. And when this happens, you have no choice than to sell, or they get sick, or you go into trouble with farmers, and therefore it pushes you to point number 1 by selling. So if you're a farmer, you're thinking about going into livestock farming, you need to really plan your dry season. Even if you're doing, poultry or sheep or pig, in the dry season we don't have maize, so maize prices goes high. So you need to buy. So food becomes a major issue in the dry season for farmers. And if you're going into farming, you definitely want to check this. I think number 3 point is a disease that most farmers are not privy to, especially the random graze farmers. So point number 1 is you're selling. Number 2 is you have no source of food or water. So it pushes you to sell. When you have no food and water, what happens is it is harvest, maize harvest season. So what do farmers do? Every cattle farmer, every goat farmer is looking for a farmer who has harvested their maize, and they go there to graze. So if you don't have food, you're desperate, you start eating in people's farm after harvesting their maize. So once they go there and they eat, they get a disease called bloating, which is basically their stomach is filled with a lot of air, and that kills them. It has killed countless of cows, sheep, and goats that I know, right? Because, you know, when the corn is swallowed, you can see that they will actually just bring it out. It will go here and pass through the other hole because it doesn't digest. Corn, if you want to give corn to livestock, you need to crush it for it to get the nutrients, the fiber that it needs, right? So if they just go to people's farm and they don't chew it and they are just swallowing it, you're not even feeding them. Their stomach is just going to get big. They might not be able to go to toilet, and what happens is it's going to kill them. When that happens, you probably need baking soda, you need warm water, mix it together, give it to the animal every 45 minutes, and you might be able to save the animal. But most farmers don't know this. So their stomach gets big, they're like, wow, today we've eaten, and then the next day you realize that it's showing symptoms, and you might easily lose your animal. So don't forget about these three things. Don't sell your animal during the dry season. And the only way you prevent that is by growing your own feed. As you guys can see, we are harvesting. I'm talking to you in January, which is the dry season. We haven't had rain here in about 3 months. And here we are still harvesting food. Can you imagine what we'll be doing in the rainy season? That means we are never going to be shorted. We just need to balance the amount of food versus the amount of animals that we can have. And there we go, right? So number 3, beware of bloating. Don't take your livestock to people's maize farm because you might think it's food, but it can actually lead to serious diseases. I hope this is helpful. Stay in touch. This year we're going to be bringing you a lot more informative videos, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.